The transport ship docked at Galactic Station with a soft hum, stood near the exit door and waited. She was small, even by human standards. Her black hair was tied back in a simple ponytail, and her uniform was clean but plain. She carried one bag over her shoulder. That was all she owned in this new life among the stars. The door opened and stepped onto the station. The first thing she noticed was how tall everyone was. There were the main species on this station. They stood nearly 8 feet tall, with long limbs and smooth blue skin. Their eyes were large and golden, and they moved with a grace that made feel clumsy just watching them. An officer approached her. He looked down at the way someone might look at a small animal. His name tag read Officer. "You are the human transfer?" he asked. His voice was musical but cold. "Yes," said engineer, reporting for duty. Checked his tablet. His long fingers moved across the screen. Human, female, 26 years old, specialty in mechanical repair. He looked up from the tablet. "You are very small." "I know," said simply. "Humans are supposed to be dangerous," said. There was doubt in his voice. "They call your planet a death world. They say your species is strong and violent." Said nothing. She had heard this before. Every species in the galaxy had heard stories about Earth. They knew about the high gravity, the extreme weather, the predators with sharp teeth and fast legs. They knew humans had survived all of it. But when they saw a human in person, especially a small female human, they often felt disappointed. "Follow me," said. "Commander will assign you to your position." Followed the tall officer through the station. Was massive. It floated in space near a busy trade route, and thousands of beings lived and worked there. The halls were wide and bright. Aliens of many species walked past her. Some were covered in fur. Some had scales. Some had too many eyes and some had none at all, but none of them were as small as. She caught many of them staring at her. A few laughed quietly to their friends. One group of young stopped talking completely just to watch her pass. She heard one of them whisper, "That is a human. That is a death." Kept her eyes forward and kept walking. They reached the command center and led her inside. The room was large and circular, filled with screens and control panels. In the center stood Commander. He was the tallest had seen yet, almost 9 feet. His skin was darker blue than the others, and his golden eyes were sharp and serious. Commander said, "This is the human engineer." Turned and looked at. For a long moment, he did not speak. He simply studied her the way a scientist might study a strange insect. "You are smaller than I expected," he finally said. "I get that a lot," replied. "Your file says you graduated top of your class in engineering. It says you have experience repairing ships under combat conditions." "That is correct." Walked slowly around her, looking at her from every angle. "Your species is famous. Humans have won wars against enemies much larger and stronger. Your planet is one of the most dangerous in the known galaxy. And yet," he stopped in front of her, "you look like you would break if I touched you." Met his eyes. "Many things look weak, Commander. Not all of them are." A small smile appeared on his face, but it was not a friendly smile. It was the smile of someone who did not believe what he was hearing. "We shall see," he said. "For now I am assigning you to maintenance. Level 7, you will report to Engineer Bora." Nodded, understood. Dismissed. Left the command center and made her way to Level 7. The maintenance section was deep in the station, far from the bright and clean upper levels. The halls here were darker, and the air smelled of oil and metal. She found Engineer Bora in a small workshop, bent over a broken engine part. Bora was a female, shorter than most of her species but still much taller than. She had kind eyes and grease on her hands. "You must be the human," Bora said, standing up straight. "Yes, I am." Bora smiled, and unlike smile, this one was warm. "Welcome to the worst job on the station. No one respects maintenance workers. They think we just fix pipes and clean filters." Someone has to do it, said. Bora laughed. I like you already. Come, I will show you around. For the next few hours, Bora gave a tour of the maintenance section. She showed her the water systems, the air recyclers, the power generators, and the emergency repair stations. Paid close attention and asked many questions. She learned fast. By the end of the day, had already fixed 2 broken valves and 1 faulty wire panel. Bora watched her work with growing respect. You are good at this, Bora said. Thank you. The others think humans are just fighters. They do not know you can be useful in other ways. Smiled a little. Humans can do many things. Fighting is just one of them. That night lay in her small room and stared at the ceiling. The bed was too big for her, it was made for, but she did not complain. She thought about the look she had received that day. The doubts, the laughs, the whispers. They all saw her size and thought they knew what she was. They thought she was soft. They thought she was breakable. They thought the stories about humans were exaggerated. Closed her eyes. She had spent her whole life being underestimated. On Earth, she had been one of the smallest in her class, but she had also been one of the strongest, not because of her muscles, but because of something else, something deeper. Humans did not survive Earth by being big. They survived by being stubborn, by refusing to give up, by getting knocked down and standing back up again and again until whatever knocked them down was too tired to continue. They did not understand this yet, but had a feeling they would learn soon enough. Somewhere in the station, alarms would eventually sound. Somewhere danger was coming, and when it arrived would be ready. She was a death, and death did not break. They broke everything else. 3 weeks passed on Galactic Station, worked hard every day. She fixed machines, repaired pipes, and solved problems that had confused the maintenance team for months. Bora told everyone that the small human was the best engineer she had ever worked with, but most of the station still did not care. To them, was just a tiny creature doing a tiny job. Then the news came. Pirates had been spotted in the sector. A group called the Red Fangs had attacked 2 cargo ships in the past week. They were violent and well-armed, and they were getting closer to every day. Commander called a meeting for all station personnel. The main hall was packed with hundreds of workers, humans, and dozens of other species. Stood near the back, barely able to see over the crowd. Listen carefully, said, his deep voice filling the room. The Red Fangs are a serious threat. We do not know when they will attack, but we must be ready. Starting tomorrow, all personnel will complete a mandatory combat evaluation. A wave of murmurs spread through the crowd. Combat evaluation. That meant everyone, not just soldiers, would be tested on their fighting ability. This is standard protocol during high-threat situations, continued. Every person on this station must prove they can defend themselves. Those who fail will be assigned to protected zones. Those who pass will receive emergency combat roles. Felt a strange feeling in her chest. It was not fear, it was something else, something closer to excitement. After the meeting, she walked back to the maintenance section. Bora caught up with her in the hallway. Are you worried? Bora asked. No, said. The evaluation is not easy. They put you in a simulation chamber with combat robots. You have to survive for as long as possible. I know. Bora looked at her with concern. I have seen how strong you are, but fighting is different from fixing machines. The soldiers train for years. Some of them still fail the evaluation. Smiled a little. I will be fine. Bora did not look convinced, but she said nothing more. The next day went to the simulation center for her evaluation. The room was large and white, with high walls and bright lights. A crowd of soldiers stood outside the viewing window, waiting to watch. When walked in, they started laughing. That is the human, one of them said. She looks like a child. Maybe she got lost. Someone should help her find her parents. This will be over in 10 seconds. Ignored them. She walked to the center of the room and waited. An instructor approached her. His name was, and he was built like a mountain, broad shoulders, thick arms, and a face that had seen many battles. "Human," he said, "are you sure you want to do this? There is no shame in requesting protected status." "I am sure," said. Studied her for a moment, then he shrugged. "Very well, the rules are simple. 10 combat drones will be activated. They will try to incapacitate you. You must survive as long as possible. If you eliminate all 10 drones, you pass with full marks. If you are knocked down and cannot get up within 5 seconds, you fail. Do you understand?" "Yes." "Good luck, you will need it." Walked out of the room and sealed the door behind him. Stood alone in the white space, her heart steady, her breathing calm. Through the viewing window, she could see the crowd of watching her. They were still smiling, still joking, still expecting her to fail immediately. Among them she noticed another human, a tall man with short black hair and serious eyes. His name tag read. He was not laughing. He was watching her with quiet interest. The lights in the room changed from white to red. A loud alarm sounded. "Simulation starting in 10 seconds, a computer voice announced. 9, 8, 7. Took a deep breath. She loosened her shoulders. She bounced lightly on her feet. 6, 5, 4. The outside were still making jokes. They had no idea what was about to happen. 3, 2, 1, begin. 10 panels in the walls slid open. 10 combat drones flew out. They were round machines, about the size of a human head, with glowing red eyes and small but powerful stun weapons built into their bodies. The drones spread out, surrounding from all directions. They began to circle her like sharks around a wounded fish. For a moment, nothing happened. The drones studied her, calculating their attack. Then all 10 of them moved at once. They were fast, faster than any could react. Their stun beams fired in rapid bursts, filling the air with bright flashes of energy. But was faster. She dropped low, dodging the first 3 shots. She rolled to the side, avoiding 2 more. Then she was up and running, not away from the drones, but toward them. Outside the viewing window, the laughter stopped. Reached the first drone in less than a second. Her hand shot out and grabbed it from the air. Before it could fire, she slammed it into the floor. Sparks flew. The drone went dark. The other 9 drones adjusted their attack patterns. They were smarter now, more careful. They spread out further, trying to hit her from multiple angles. It did not matter. Moved like nothing they had ever seen. She ducked, she weaved, she jumped. Her body twisted through the air as if gravity meant nothing to her. She was small, but that made her harder to hit. Every shot that came close missed by inches. She grabbed the second drone and threw it into a third. Both exploded in a shower of metal and electricity. She kicked the 4th drone out of the air. She caught the 5th drone and used it as a shield, absorbing shots from the 6th and 7th before throwing it back at them. The crowd outside had gone completely silent. Even the instructor was staring with his mouth open. The other human smiled quietly. He knew what he was seeing. He had seen it before, on Earth, in training, in real combat. This was what humans did when pushed. This was the survival instinct of a death, millions of years of evolution compressed into a single moment. Inside the room did not slow down. She did not hesitate. She did not feel fear. She felt alive. The 8th drone came at her from behind. Without looking, she spun and punched it out of the air. The 9th drone tried to flank her. She caught it with her left hand and crushed it against the wall. 1 drone left. The final drone was hovering near the ceiling, trying to stay out of reach. It fired down at her in quick bursts. Ran toward the wall. She jumped, planted her foot on the surface and pushed off, launching herself into the air like a rocket. The drone tried to dodge. It was too slow. Grabbed it with both hands, pulled it close, and slammed it into the ground as she landed. The impact cracked the floor. The drone shattered into pieces. Silence. The red lights turned back to white. The alarm stopped. Simulation complete, the computer announced. All targets eliminated. Time 53 seconds. Stood in the center of the room, breathing slightly harder than before, but otherwise calm. She brushed some dust off her uniform and looked at the viewing window. They were staring at her. No one was laughing now. No one was making jokes. They looked at her like they were seeing a monster for the first time. The instructor slowly walked back into the room. His face was pale. "That," he said, "that was not possible." Looked at him. "Can I go now? I have maintenance work to finish." Did not answer. He just kept staring. Outside turned and walked away, still smiling. He already knew the truth. Humans were not dangerous because they were big or strong. They were dangerous because they never stopped. They adapted. They learned. They survived. And had just reminded everyone what that really meant. The news of combat evaluation spread through station like fire through dry grass. Within hours, everyone was talking about the small human engineer who had destroyed 10 combat drones in less than a minute. Some did not believe it. They said the drones must have been broken. They said the simulation must have been set to easy mode. They said there was no way a creature that small could move that fast. But those who had watched through the viewing window knew the truth. They had seen it with their own eyes. The tiny human was not weak. She was something else entirely. Commander called to his office the next morning. She stood before his desk while he reviewed her evaluation data on his screen. 53 seconds, said slowly. The fastest any has completed this evaluation is 2 minutes and 40 seconds. You beat that record by almost 2 full minutes. I was just doing my best, said. Looked up from his screen. His golden eyes were different now. Before he had looked at her with doubt and dismissal. Now there was something new, something between respect and fear. I have read reports about human combat abilities, he said, but I did not believe them. I thought they were exaggerated stories meant to scare children. He paused. I was wrong. Said nothing. Tell me, continued, how did you move so fast? Our best soldiers train for years and cannot match what you did. Earth has high gravity, explained. Nearly twice as strong as this station. On my home planet, everything is heavy. Our muscles, our bones, they develop differently. When I came here, it was like the weight was lifted from my body. So this station's gravity makes you faster. And stronger, and my reactions are quicker. On Earth, we had to be fast or we died. Predators, natural disasters, disease, everything tried to kill us. For millions of years, only the fast and strong survived. That is evolution. Leaned back in his chair. For the first time since had arrived, he looked uncertain. We call Earth a death world, he said quietly, but I do not think we truly understood what that meant until now. The door to the office opened, and an instructor walked in. Behind him came several soldiers, the same ones who had laughed at before her evaluation. They were not laughing now. Commander, said, the soldiers have requested to observe a second demonstration. They want to see the humans' abilities again. Looked at, would you be willing to do another evaluation? If you need me to, said. One of the soldiers stepped forward. His name was the same officer who had greeted on her first day. His face was serious. Not a regular evaluation, said. We want to see what she can really do. Set the difficulty to maximum. 20 drones instead of 10. Combat patterns randomized. Frowned. That setting is designed for training our elite tactical units. It is extremely dangerous. I know, said, but we need to understand what we are dealing with. If the pirates attack, we need to know how to use every resource available, including this human. Looked at, she remembered how he had looked down at her on her first day. She remembered the doubt in his voice when he talked about death. I will do it, she said. Hesitated, then nodded. Very well, but if things become too dangerous, we will end the simulation immediately. They walked to the simulation center together. Word had spread quickly, and the viewing area was now packed with spectators. Humans and dozens of other species pressed against the windows, trying to get a good view. Was there again, standing in the back with his arms crossed. When walked past him, he gave her a small nod. "Good luck," he said quietly. "Show them what we are." Entered the simulation chamber alone. The door sealed behind her. She stood in the center of the white room and waited. 20 panels opened in the walls. 20 combat drones flew out and surrounded her. They were the same size as before, but their movements were different, faster, more aggressive, more unpredictable. The lights turned red. The alarm sounded. "Maximum difficulty enabled," the computer announced. "Combat patterns randomized. Simulation begins now." The drones attacked immediately. There was no hesitation, no circling, no calculation. They came at her from all angles at once, firing stun beams in rapid bursts. Exploded into motion. She dodged left, then right, then dropped to the floor as 3 beams passed over her head. She rolled forward and came up running. Her hand closed around the first drone and she threw it into the second. Both shattered against the wall. 18 left. The remaining drones adjusted their tactics. Half of them climbed toward the ceiling while the other half spread out along the floor. They were trying to trap her in a crossfire. Did not let them. She grabbed a piece of broken drone from the floor and threw it at one of the ceiling units. The impact knocked the drone off balance and it crashed down. She kicked it before it hit the ground, sending it flying into 2 more drones. 15 left. The drones were firing constantly now. Stun beams filled the air like rain. Any normal soldier would have been overwhelmed. Any normal soldier would have fallen. But was not normal. She moved between the beams as if she could see them before they were fired. Her body twisted and turned in ways that seemed impossible. She was reading the drones' movements, predicting their attacks, reacting before they even happened. This was the true power of a death. Millions of years of survival had sharpened human instincts to a razor's edge. Where other species saw chaos, humans saw patterns. Where other species felt panic, humans felt focus. Destroyed 3 more drones with her bare hands. She grabbed another and used it as a weapon, swinging it into 2 more before it broke apart. 9 left. The drones regrouped. They formed a tight circle around her, all facing inward, all charging their weapons at the same time. In the viewing area, the crowd held their breath. The drones fired together, a synchronized blast from 9 directions at once. Jumped. She launched herself straight up, higher than any could jump, higher than the drones expected. The stun beams passed beneath her feet and hit each other, causing several drones to short-circuit and fall. Came down like a falling star. She landed on one drone with both feet, crushing it into the floor. She grabbed 2 more, one in each hand, and slammed them together so hard they exploded. 3 left. The final 3 drones tried to retreat. They flew toward the walls, trying to put distance between themselves and the human. Did not let them escape. She sprinted across the room with inhuman speed. She caught the first drone before it reached the wall and threw it at the second. Both went down. The last drone made a desperate attempt to fly over her head. Jumped again. Her hand closed around the drone in midair. She pulled it down and drove it into the floor with all her strength. The impact created a crater in the metal surface. Silence. The lights turned white. The alarm stopped. Simulation complete, the computer announced. All targets eliminated. Time, 1 minute 12 seconds. Stood in the center of the destroyed room, surrounded by broken machines and scattered metal. Her breathing was heavy, but her eyes were calm. Outside the viewing window, no one moved. No one spoke. The soldiers who had demanded this demonstration stood frozen, their faces pale with shock. Commander slowly walked into the room. He looked at the destruction around him. He looked at the small human standing in the middle of it all. "What are you?" he asked quietly. Wiped sweat from her forehead. "I'm an engineer, I fix things." Looked at the broken drones scattered across the floor. "You do more than fix things." Stepped forward. His arrogance was gone. His doubt was gone. In their place was something new, respect born from fear. "I apologize," he said too. "When you arrived, I thought you were weak. I thought the stories about humans were lies. I was wrong. I was very, very wrong." Looked at him for a long moment, then she nodded. Apology accepted. From the viewing area, smiled. They were finally beginning to understand. Earth was not just a death world. It was a factory that produced the most dangerous beings in the galaxy. And they were only seeing the beginning. 2 days after the second evaluation, the pirates came. Was in the maintenance section when the alarm started screaming. Red lights flashed in every hallway. The station's voice system blared emergency warnings. "Alert, alert! Hostile forces have breached Docking Bay 7. All non-combat personnel report to safe zones immediately. This is not a drill." Bora dropped the tool she was holding. Her blue face went pale. "The Red Fangs," she whispered, "they are here." Stood up slowly. Her heart was beating faster, but her hands were steady. "Where is Docking Bay 7? 2 levels up, but you cannot go there. The pirates, they are killers. They do not take prisoners." "I know," said. She started walking toward the door. "Wait," Bora grabbed her arm. "The commander ordered non-combat personnel to the safe zones. That includes you." Looked back at her. "I passed my combat evaluation, remember, maximum difficulty. I am not non-combat personnel anymore." Before Bora could argue, was gone. She ran through the hallways, moving against the flow of workers rushing toward the safe zones. Some of them shouted at her, telling her she was going the wrong way. She ignored them all. When she reached the level above, she found chaos. Smoke filled the corridor. Bodies lay on the floor, some other species. Most were still breathing, knocked unconscious by stun weapons, but a few were not moving at all. Stepped over them carefully and kept moving. Ahead, she heard the sounds of combat, shouting, explosions, the sharp crack of energy weapons. She followed the noise until she reached a large cargo area near the breached docking bay. The battle was already happening. A dozen soldiers were fighting against the pirates. The Red Fangs were a mixed group, several species working together under a common flag of violence and greed. They wore red armor marked with sharp teeth symbols. They carried heavy weapons and moved with the confidence of experienced killers. The soldiers were losing. They were tall and graceful, but the pirates were brutal and relentless. One by one, the soldiers fell, stunned, wounded, or worse. Did not hesitate. She ran into the battle. A pirate saw her coming and swung his weapon toward her. He was big, twice her size, and his armor made him look even bigger. It did not matter. Ducked under his swing and drove her fist into his stomach. Even through the armor, the impact sent him stumbling backward. She grabbed his weapon, twisted it out of his hands, and used it to block an attack from another pirate behind her. "What is that thing?" one of the pirates shouted. "It is so small." "Kill it," another yelled. 3 pirates rushed at her from different directions. Moved like water, fluid, fast, impossible to predict. She dodged the first attack, redirected the second into the third, and then struck all 3 of them before they could recover. They fell to the ground, groaning in pain. The remaining soldiers stared at her in shock. They had seen her evaluation recordings, but seeing it in person was different. Seeing this tiny human destroy enemies twice her size was something they would never forget. "Keep fighting," shouted at them. "Do not stop." Her words snapped them out of their shock. They raised their weapons and rejoined the battle. Together they pushed the pirates back, moved through the enemy ranks like a ghost, striking from unexpected angles, never staying in one place long enough to be hit. The pirates could not track her. They could not predict her movements. Every time they thought they had her, she was already somewhere else. But the pirates had one more weapon. One of them pulled a small device from his belt and threw it toward. She saw it coming and tried to dodge, but she was too close. The device exploded. The blast threw across the room. She hit the wall hard and fell to the ground. Her ears were ringing. Her vision was blurry. Pain shot through her entire body. A medic who had been hiding behind a barrier screamed into his communicator. "Stop the fight. The human is down. She needs medical attention." But was not done. Slowly, painfully, she pushed herself up from the floor. Blood was running down the side of her face. Her left arm was hanging at a strange angle, dislocated, maybe broken. Every breath hurt. But she stood up. The pirates stopped attacking. They stared at her with wide eyes. "That should have killed her," one of them said. "How is she standing?" Looked at them. Her face was covered in blood and dust, but her eyes were burning with something that made the pirates step back. "You do not know much about humans," she said quietly. "We do not stop because we are hurt. We do not stop because we are scared. We do not stop until the fight is over." She started walking toward them. The pirates raised their weapons, but their hands were shaking now. They had never seen anything like this. They had killed soldiers from dozens of species. They had never fought someone who got up after being hit by an explosion. "Pain makes us angry," continued. "And when humans get angry, we become more dangerous, not less." She grabbed the nearest pirate by his armor and threw him into two of his friends. They crashed to the ground in a tangle of limbs and weapons. The medic was still screaming into his communicator. "Someone stop her. She is going to get herself killed." But could not hear him anymore. The ringing in her ears had become a roar. Her vision had narrowed to a tunnel, focused only on her enemies. This was the place that humans went when pushed too far, a place beyond fear, beyond pain, beyond reason. This was what made death truly terrifying. On Earth, the ancestors of humans had faced predators with claws and teeth and impossible strength. They had no natural weapons, no sharp fangs, no thick scales, no deadly venom, but they had something else. They had the ability to keep going when any other creature would have given up. They had the ability to ignore wounds that should have been fatal. They had the ability to transform pain into fuel. Evolution had created the ultimate survivor. Destroyed the remaining pirates in less than 2 minutes. When it was over, she stood in the middle of the cargo bay, surrounded by fallen enemies. Her body was broken. Her arm was useless. She was bleeding from a dozen different wounds. But she was still standing. The soldiers approached her slowly, as if she might attack them too. One of them reached out carefully and touched her shoulder. "It is over," he said softly. "You can stop now." Blinked. The fire in her eyes began to fade. The tunnel vision expanded back to normal. She looked around at the destruction she had caused and took a shaky breath. Then her legs gave out. Caught her before she hit the ground. He held her carefully, like she was made of glass, even though he had just watched her destroy an entire pirate squad single-handedly. "Get the medics," he shouted, "now." As consciousness began to slip away, heard voices around her. The soldiers were talking in rushed, frightened tones. She took an explosion and kept fighting. "I have never seen anything like it. Is this what humans really are?" Wanted to answer them. She wanted to tell them that she was not special. She wanted to tell them that any human would have done the same thing in her situation. But she was too tired. The last thing she heard before passing out was voice, speaking quietly to someone she could not see. "Contact Commander, tell him the battle is over, and tell him, we need to rethink everything we know about humans." Then darkness took her. Woke up in the medical bay. White lights hung above her, soft and calm. For a moment she did not remember where she was or what had happened. Then the memories came flooding back, the alarms, the battle, the explosion, the pain. She tried to sit up, but a gentle hand pushed her back down. "Easy," a voice said. "You are still healing." Turned her head and saw Bora sitting beside her bed. The engineer looked tired, like she had not slept in days. "How long was I unconscious?" asked. Her voice was rough. 3 days, Bora said. "The doctors did not know if you would wake up. You had internal bleeding, a broken arm, 2 cracked ribs, and a severe concussion. Any with those injuries would still be in critical condition." Looked down at her arm. It was wrapped in a healing bandage that glowed faintly with medical energy. She could feel it itching, a sign that her bones were already mending. "Humans heal fast," she said simply. Bora shook her head in amazement. "I am starting to understand why your species survived on that planet of yours." The door to the medical bay opened and Commander walked in. He was followed by and several other officers. They approached bed and stood in a half-circle around her. Looked different than before. The coldness in his golden eyes was gone. In its place was something that looked almost like warmth. "Engineer," he said formally, "on behalf of Galactic Station, I want to thank you for your actions during the pirate attack. Your bravery saved many lives." "I was just doing what needed to be done," said. "You did more than that." Paused and glanced at the officers beside him. "I have been reviewing the security recordings from the battle. What you did was extraordinary. You engaged over 20 enemy combatants while severely wounded. You continued fighting after sustaining injuries that would have killed most species. You turned the tide of a battle that we were losing." Stepped forward. "Many of us did not believe the stories about humans. We thought your species was weak, soft, fragile. We looked at your size and assumed we knew everything." He lowered his head slightly, a gesture of deep respect. "We were fools." "The Red Fangs have attacked dozens of stations over the years," continued. "They have never lost a boarding action, until now. Word of what happened here is already spreading through the sector. Other pirates will think twice before attacking us again." Felt uncomfortable with all the attention. She had never liked being praised. She had just done what her instincts told her to do. "I was not alone," she said. "The soldiers fought hard. They held the line while you did the impossible," interrupted. He had been standing quietly in the back, but now he stepped forward with a slight smile. "Stop being humble. You destroyed an entire pirate squad by yourself, half of it after taking an explosion to the face. That is not normal, even for a human." Looked at him. "You would have done the same." "Maybe," admitted, "but I did not have to. You did it first." Cleared his throat. "There is another matter we need to discuss. Before the attack, you were assigned to maintenance. That assignment is no longer appropriate." Frowned. "Are you removing me from the station?" "No," said. "I am promoting you. I am creating a new tactical response unit, a team designed to handle threats that our regular forces cannot. I want you to lead it." Silence filled the room. Stared at the commander. "You want me to lead a tactical team? I am an engineer." "You are many things," said. "You are smart, you are skilled, and you are the most capable fighter I have ever seen. You understand machines, which means you understand how to break them. And most importantly, you have proven that you will stand when others fall. The position comes with full command authority," added. "You would be equal in rank to me. Your team would answer only to commander." Looked around the room. Every face was watching her, waiting for her answer. Even Bora, who had always seen her as a friend first and a human second, was looking at her with new eyes. "I need time to think," said. Nodded. "Take all the time you need, but I hope you will accept. This station needs someone like you. The galaxy needs someone like you." The officers filed out of the room, leaving only Bora and behind. Bora leaned closer to bed. "What are you going to do?" "I do not know yet." If you take the position, I will miss working with you in maintenance, but I think you should do it. The commander is right. You have a gift. Sighed, I never wanted to be a fighter. I became an engineer because I wanted to build things, fix things, make things work. Fighting was always something I did because I had to, not because I wanted to. Sat down on the edge of her bed. That is exactly why you should lead the team. The best warriors are not the ones who love violence. They are the ones who understand its cost. They fight because they must, not because they enjoy it. That is what makes them careful. That is what keeps them and their people alive. Thought about his words. She thought about the battle, the chaos, the fear, the moment when the explosion hit her and everything went dark. She thought about getting up anyway, about fighting through the pain, about standing when her body screamed at her to fall. She thought about the soldiers who had watched her with fear in their eyes. She thought about how they had seen her as weak on her first day, and how they saw her now. Maybe she could not change what she was. Maybe she would always be a fighter, whether she wanted to be or not. But if that was true, then she could at least use that ability to protect others. She could use it to make sure no one else had to fight alone. Tell Commander I accept, said. Bora's face lit up with a proud smile, nodded in approval. Good choice, he said. I have a feeling you are going to change a lot of things around here. Over the next few weeks, recovered fully. Her bones healed faster than the doctors had ever seen. Her strength returned even stronger than before. And when she was finally released from the medical bay, she walked into the station as a new person, not just an engineer anymore, but a leader. The Tactical Response Unit was assembled quickly. Personally selected its members, the best fighters from every species on the station, including 4 soldiers, 2 humans, and several others. They were given the most advanced equipment and the most difficult assignments. And at the center of it all was small, quiet, and absolutely deadly. On her first day as unit commander, she gathered her team in the briefing room. They stood at attention, waiting for her to speak. I know some of you are wondering if I deserve this position, said calmly. I know some of you think I am too small, too young, or too human to lead a team like this. You are welcome to have those doubts, but I want you to remember one thing. She looked at each of them, one by one. I do not care how big you are or what species you are or how many battles you have fought. When danger comes, we stand together. We protect each other. We protect this station. And we never, ever give up. She paused. That is what being a death means. It is not about strength or size or speed. It is about refusing to stop when everything is against you. It is about standing up when the universe pushes you down. She looked at the window, where stars were shining in the endless darkness of space. Earth taught us that. Now I am going to teach it to you. The room was silent. Then slowly, every member of the team saluted her, a gesture of respect that crossed all species and all cultures. Saluted back. She had come to station as a small engineer that no one respected. She had been laughed at, doubted, and dismissed. But she had never given up, and now everything was different. The word death had a new meaning on the station, and was just getting started.